everybody, Tony Gaddis here. I'm just gonna create a new file and we're gonna go to predefined. We'll go down here to letter and we'll do this one vertically, okay? And hit create. Okay, so I want to set up my grid, okay? And what we're gonna do is snap our lines to the grid. So we're making the frames for the storyboard, okay? The frames and the number boxes. So if you come up here and go to view, show grid, you'll probably have something like this, okay? And we want to adjust the settings. So let's go to settings, Dockers, grid and guides, and you'll have this panel pop up called grids and guides, okay? And it has these two tabs on it. And what we're gonna do is set this to 67, and this will get us in the ballpark. And if your lines are too dark, so they may look something like this, and subdivisions, I just bring that down to 1. So if your lines look like this, that to me that's too distracting, so I change it to either dashed or dots. And then I click this little box and change the color way down here, almost white, okay? And then we want to snap to grid. That's really important as well. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Okay, so now let's get our brush. So I go to ink and I'm going to choose this ink 1 precision. Okay, and we're going to change the size to 10 pixels. And make sure your color is on black. If it's not, you can hit this little black and white box down here and it will reset it. We're going to choose this, what's it called, rectangle tool. Okay, so we're going to zoom in a little. And so we're going to leave 1 square space around the whole edge. And this will be kind of like our safe frame, okay? And so we're going to make this one, I have it written down so I can keep track of it. So we're going to go 14 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14. And then we'll go 8 down. 2, 3, okay, so 14 by 8 of these squares, okay? And then to the right, we're going to skip a square and we're going to make a little like 2 by 2 box, and this will be for the frame number, okay, for our storyboard panel number. Then we're going to skip, let me see, we're going to skip 2 squares and we're going to create it again. So we're going to go over 14. Okay, and then we'll skip 1 and we'll do our little 2 by 2 square here, and that will give us 1 square on the edge. Okay, and so now what we can do is duplicate this layer and we will move it down. We're going to skip 3 squares and put it right there. Okay, so then we can collapse these two, merge with layer below, duplicate it again, and we're going to move this down 3 squares underneath that one. Okay, and then we can collapse these two. Let's see, merge this layer below. Then we'll come down here, and I like to make a rectangle to keep like the title of the whatever the storyboard is. And so we're going to skip 5 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to skip let's see, 3 again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's going to look something like this, and then 5 from that side. Yep. Okay. And the reason we skip 3 is if you want to go in here and create lines, you can. Like sometimes I'll do this. And that way I can write notes, extra notes, if the panel needs some more descriptions like camera actions or things like that. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm just going to write my notes just wherever on the page. Okay, so let's turn off the grid. And we can get rid of this grids and panels tab. Okay, and let's name this layer frames. And we can go ahead and lock that layer, okay? So we don't want to accidentally move it or anything like that. Okay, so let's create a new layer. And for this part, you can use any pencil you like. I like to go to Sketch and use this 2B pencil, and we'll change the color to something kind of like bluish, maybe like that. Okay, and let's name our layer. This will be our rough. Okay, so what I do is I create a rough, just quick, get my ideas out, get them on paper, and just try to figure out if it makes sense. And that way I can easily like shift and move things around. So for example, like on this one, I might like have something like, let's say we have a house, the door, and I just keep it simple, 1 point perspective. I don't really have anything in mind. I'm just gonna use this for an example of my process. So here's a bush here, maybe a bush back there, and there's a driveway, and there's a window right here, maybe some windows on front of the house, and maybe that thing's up here, you know, that little vent thing, and maybe just a quick background. Okay, and so this would be panel 1, and so this is our establishing shot. So maybe we zoom in, we see a house, and we zoom in to this window. So you could write something like cam zooms in on window. Okay, and then the next panel, this would be our shot, like zoomed in on this window. Okay, and maybe there's brick on the house. Okay, and maybe inside the window we see, I don't know, somebody like sitting on a chair, and they have a pencil. They're really concentrating, so their tongue's out, and they're just drawing away. Okay, and then maybe this shot, this would be panel 3. So now we're over his shoulder, over the person's shoulder, and they have a pencil, and maybe they're like scribbling really fast. Okay, and sound effects help. Like, so this is where we could make a note, right? Like over the shoulder shot, or we could write cam. That might even be better to describe what the camera's doing. Over the shoulder shot, and scribbling really fast. Okay, and then maybe on this shot we see, here's their hand, and the pencil's over here, and then The pencil's over here. They're scribbling. Okay, and it's going back and forth real fast. And it's just getting real fast. So scribbling really fast. Okay, this will be panel 4. And then maybe, I don't know, let's say they're scribbling so fast that the paper catches on fire. He's like, okay, this is his art desk, and now there's these big flames. Like, ah. Okay, and then maybe I don't know. Maybe we cut back out to the house, and it is engulfed in flames. And we can make a note. Quick flash. House goes up in flames. House goes up in flames. Okay, and then we see well, okay, so this is an example. Like, maybe I want to add a frame where he's like trying to blow out the fire. So let's take this and scoot it down, because that will happen before the house goes up in flames. Okay. 5, 6, 7. He's like, he's trying to blow it out before his wife gets home, right? Like, oh no, what'd I do? He's trying to blow out the flames, but it's not working. The whole house goes up, and then on the final panel, maybe he is it's kind of a mid shot of him sitting here, and he's all like charred, and the only thing left is him and his art stool, right? The rest of the house is toast. Foundation, bushes. There's that one bush. Maybe there's that other bush, and then there's just like, you know, smoke coming off. Everything went up in flames. He's having a rough day. Okay. See character sitting and charred. Okay. So down here in this box, we could date it. Date, and then we name it. So maybe this is called Up in Smoke. And we can sign it if you want. And this is typically where I would add like the company logo or something, like Wizard101, or you know, maybe I could add something over here. Tony Gaddis Tunes.com. A plug for my website. Okay, don't mind if I do. And okay, so now that we have our rough, now we can go in and ink it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll duplicate it, and go up here to filter, adjust, HSV adjustment. Let me pull this over here. And what we can do is just adjust this down, the lightness all the way to black, and bam, you have like an inked drawing. But see, like for me, this first panel is way too messy, so I would definitely go in and redraw that one. The rest of them look pretty decent. Okay, so let's go in and just redraw this one real quick. Okay, and let's do that little bush over here, and let's have the driveway. We'll do a sidewalk instead of a driveway, okay? Because it was starting to get too messy in here, so just do a little sidewalk. Okay, that looks better. So the alternative is you could go in, create a new layer, and clean up every one of these panels if you wanted to, and just make it look a lot more nice. Okay, a lot more clear. For now, I'm just gonna leave it like this. I think, yeah, like this fire could be a lot more clear. Yeah, but we'll just leave it like this for now. And I'll show you the next step. So we'll create a new layer. Oh, let's rename that one. That's our ink. So we have frames, rough, ink. And now this layer will be color. And we're gonna drop it underneath the ink layer, okay? Okay, and for this next part, you could use any brush you want. I'm gonna go ahead and choose just the basic one brush, okay? Yep. Okay, and what I like to do is create a little color palette. So we have black and we have white. So we're gonna pick 3 more colors, okay? And we're just gonna keep them on the grayscale. So we're gonna have a dark gray. We're gonna have like a mid-tone gray. And then we'll have a light gray. Okay, and that will be our color palette. So like for this first panel, I'm going to start out with the, let's go mid-tone gray, create a selection window, fill it with a foreground color, and now we'll take white, or we could erase this out, but I'm going to go ahead and just go back to white and color in the house because I really want it to pop forward. Okay, so now we'll go down to the next window and we could flip that and get the mid-tone gray again. And the reason I start with mid-tone gray is it gives us room to either go lighter or to go darker. Okay, so let's fill that. And let's go white again. Just the character white. Because he's the most important part. I'm gonna make my brush smaller. And kind of get in here. And so like the windowsill, we could do like a little bit lighter if we wanted. And for the sides of the house, we can maybe go for that dark. Okay, and this panel I do want to clean up, so I'm going to go back to my ink. Just clean this up just a bit. Okay. So we'll just go through each panel and just keep it simple and color each panel like that. So make sure you're back on your color layer. Okay, so now that we have it all colored, our final step is to go in and polish and clean up. Okay, so like for frame number 5, what I would probably do is go into my frames layer and just kind of erase it where that flame's coming out over the top, because I just kind of like that look. Hide the rough. Clean up any edges. So we're just going to go through every frame and just make sure it's cleaned up. Just go back to that frames layer. And you might want to duplicate your frames layer if you're going to start erasing it, just in case the director or somebody comes back and wants changes. You don't want to have, like, you know, a lot of your frames erased. So I'd go in maybe to the color layer, delete this, because we can sample that from the frames layer later. Okay. This will just help it look a little more professional. Okay, this is not a Wizard101 storyboard, so I'm going to delete that. This is a Tony Gaddis Tunes original. Okay, so let's go in here and look at an example of one that I made. I really like this one. It's called Titan Storm, and it was like a cutscene. Okay, so if you see, like, I just keep it real simple, right? And there's no text, and I have a really light color, a mid-tone, and a dark. And on this one, I actually added a 4th shade right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So my color palette on this one was 4. Let me show you the roughs. Here's the roughs. Right, so just keeping it simple so I can, and kind of scribbly, you know, so I can work fast. And see, there's an example. I just took the the line art and just made it black like that. Okay, there's I think that's the page 2. Yeah. Yeah, this is when the bat and Mallory, I think is her name. Yeah, they battle off against that Storm Titan. So yeah, we worked this all out on Storyboards first. So yeah, I hope that helped. Get out there, make some storyboards, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.